It is the 10th anniversary of this egregious lie that continues to be perpetrated on the American people. As Aaron Mate tweeted out, today is the 10th anniversary of the Ghouta chemical massacre in Syria. U.S. blamed the Syrian government, but all evidence points to sectarian death squad rebels. That's why Obama didn't bomb. There are Western officials who know more about Ghouta than has been publicly disclosed. Just as the OPCW, that's the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, just as the OPCW leaks expose the Duma deception, perhaps they will find a way to tell the truth about Ghouta. OPCW, of course, that was the other bigger chemical attack, the one in Ghouta that most people talk about. Sorry, the Duma, the one that most people talk about. And these two chemical attacks were the reason the U.S. claimed they were going into Syria. The reason we still, I think, we still basically oversee, we still occupy 10% of Syria. And we bombed Syria. We sent troops into Syria. There's a great clip that I played on here recently of the UN representative being asked about the news report that U.S. troops were hit in a bombing on a base in Syria. And then the guy asked, well, is that not invading Syria if U.S. troops are in Syria? And then the guy said, there's no U.S. troops on the ground in Syria. And then he said, there's no U.S. troops on the ground, then why is there a news report that U.S. troops were injured in a bombing on a base in Syria? And the UN rep was like, So all of this was precipitated by, supposedly, now the truth is we wanted an excuse so that we could go into Syria, but precipitated by these chemical attacks, which was our red line, right? If Assad uses chemical attacks, then we get to go in and we get to kill lots of people in Syria. Yay, U.S. will be there to kill people. Now, of course, we've been funding and arming these terrorists for a while before that, but we wanted to go in a more full way. And the OPCW revealed the 4 whistleblowers leaking the information because they were horrified that their information was not being acted on or had been altered. They revealed that Duma was a deception, that it was not a chemical attack. It was staged. Then there was also the Ghouta attack, which Aaron Mate is making the case that the U.S. knew was not perpetrated by Assad. Instead, it was actually by rebels. Now, why would rebels, if they're trying to bring down Assad, do a chemical attack that harms Syrian civilians? Because it would get the U.S. involved. They wanted U.S. involvement. They wanted the U.S. to have their back and to be bombing behind them. And this was the way to do it because Obama had said that's the red line. We'll come into Syria if you do this. Anyway, here's a quote from The Atlantic at the time. Obama was unsettled by a surprise visit earlier in the week from James Clapper, his director of national intelligence, who interrupted the president's daily brief. The threat report that Obama receives each morning from Clapper's analysts he interrupted to make clear that the intelligence on Syria's use of sarin gas, while robust, was not a slam dunk. He chose the term carefully. Clapper, the chief of an intelligence community traumatized by its failures in the run-up to the Iraq War. Now, of course, that's Atlantic neoliberal spin. They weren't traumatized by their failures. They were told to lie about WMD, and so they lied about WMD. Plenty of the intelligence community knew exactly what was going on. In the manner of the one-time CIA director George Tenet, who famously guaranteed George W. Bush a slam dunk in Iraq. Now, behind closed doors, they all knew there was no WMD. They just thought maybe there'd be something they could pretend was a WMD, I guess. I don't know. They wanted to go, meaning that part is Atlantic neoliberal spin, that the U.S. was caught off guard by the lack of WMD. What? You're telling me there's no WMD? How could this be? And yes, I'm rhyming everything that I can, you see. I don't know who that character is, but it just happened, okay? It happened, and we're all just in it. I don't know why it happened, but that character, it just happened. AP, also, this is the Associated Press, another neoliberal outfit, says this is from 2013. Intelligence on weapons in Syria, yeah, intelligence on chemical weapons, no slam dunk. So they also reported. So this is multiple articles from the neoliberal outlets that are normally just doing the propaganda for the war state. They are saying, hey, it seems clear this is not a slam dunk on the whole Assad used chemical weapons, the one thing that would get the United States involved in Syria. That was the one thing. Like, how insane would Assad have to be like, I'm going to use the one thing that'll get America into this war and just bombing the shit out of me? I'm going to use the one thing. And if he made that decision, you know what? I'm going to use that one thing that gets them in here. Why would he stop at once? He's just going to, I'm just going to use it one little time. Just a little pinprick, kill 40 people. And that's it. That's the only time. I'm just going to do it enough to get the U.S. 100% trying to destroy me. Because now they're only at like 90%. They're only funding and arming terrorists. So I want to get them to 100%.